slaps, I'll take whatever the fuck you want to give me. But you guys are in for a treat tonight because it's my final show. Last night and tonight I asked my favourite comedian in WA to open for me, so I feel very grateful that he's going to be doing an opening set for me. You guys are super lucky because I personally think he's one of the best comedians in WA. Like, he has me in stitches all the time. So I'm going to bring him to the stage, but before I do, I'm going to get you guys to give him all the energy and love until he gets his hand on this microphone. So let's start that round of applause. Let's start making some toys for my man, Mr. David Tockley!
Okay, thanks. Yes, okay. Bit to live up to that, okay. Anyway, unlike Jason, I'm still learning socially a bit. Not quite as out there. For example, I was only recently made aware that apparently it's incredibly rude to ignore people, especially when they're waving at you, which I think in hindsight is probably what cost me my job as a lifeguard. Told interesting facts recently. Apparently, if you were to put approximately just 6 months worth of semen into a single measuring jug, apparently you should probably seek counselling. Still fun, but okay, cool. It's going okay. Just earlier, someone asked me if I'd like to stick my penis in a glass of Coke mixed with ice cream. I said, mate, I'm not here to fuck spiders. There's another one. I was going for a walk around the park the other day, and then this dog came running up, straight up to me and starts aggressively humping my leg. And my first thought was to try and shake it off and kick it away, but I could see the owner in the distance glaring at me, so I thought I can't do that. So I thought, what would my wife do in this situation? She's a very peaceful, kind of empathetic sort of person, so I thought, what would she do? So at the end I just let it happen and fake the orgasm. I was at the bottle shop the other day, and I was at the bottle shop, and the guy behind the counter said to me, would you like a paper bag for that, sir? And I was like, no, it's fine, she's not with me. I try not to drink too much when I'm going out, like doing shows and stuff, because, a while back I had way too many drinks, and on the way home I had to stop at a booze bus. One of the officers came up to the window. He said, how many drinks have you had tonight? So I was like, I'm not really sure, to be honest. He said, can you at least tell me roughly? And I said, all right. Not really fucking sure, it took He told me to get out of the car. He said, you think you're funny? Go on then, give us a gag. So I showed him a cocktail for it. Too far there. This guy said to me, for $50,000, would you have sex with a corpse and have it recorded on video for scientific purposes? Obviously I said, no way, I mean, I don't have that kind of money just lying around. Well, I'm learning socially and stuff a little bit. I've got a few little things I've learned along the way, like, for example, if I need to scratch my balls in public and lots of people around, I'll just like disguise it by, at the same time, I'll just do a little bit of heavy metal air guitar, just like, that wasn't worth it. Alright, go on. I just do that, and people just look at me and think, oh, must be playing a pretty epic riff there. That's pretty cool. Still wasn't worth it. Alright, cool. Thank you. I had a reading recently. I was told apparently in a past life I used to go around gate crashing Jewish bris ceremonies and stealing all the foreskins. I was Robin Hood. It's a silly one there. I think the most embarrassing situation I've ever been involved in would have to be getting a very noticeable erection in front of a bunch of complete strangers while trying to perform CPR on an elderly lady. Given the circumstances, I thought no one would even notice, but then this guy just tapped me on the shoulder and told me I was completely ruining the funeral. Okay, cool. Comes to the realisation I'm starting to look a bit older myself now, especially since my Fringe seems to have made some kind of follicle suicide pact. Got my own little private island thing going on there, it's pretty cool. I think, you're starting to look a bit older when a girl comes up to you after a show just to tell you that she's really into older guys, and then you look around at all the other guys in the room and you look back at her and you're like, oh, you mean like me? And then she starts giggling and says, oh God, no, not that old, that's gross. People get judgmental when you start looking older. You can't do things you used to do, people judge you and stuff. Like, I can't go out dancing anymore. Last time when I was out and I went to start dancing, straight away this guy just yelled across the room telling me I was making a dickhead of myself. So I confronted him. I said, what's your problem with me dancing? Is there some kind of age limit on having a bit of fun? Is there? And he tried to avoid the issue. He's like, oh no, it's not that, it's just that you're still here ruining the funeral, can you just leave? So yeah, I was at a party recently. It's going pretty well, but then one of the guys came in. He was really upset, and he's like, and everyone's like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh my girlfriend's been cheating on me. And they're like, did you catch her out? And he's like, no, not that. And they're like, how do you know then? He's like, well, if you must know, I got crabs off her, and she must have gotten them from someone else. Like, someone's got to know something. And he just starts going up to everyone like, do you know something? Do you know something? And he turned around to me and he's like, do you know something? And I was like, I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I had to do that stupid one before. I think it's interesting in relationships between a man and a woman that, it's socially accepted that the man always has to give the woman flowers every now and again to show that he cares about her, but it's also socially accepted that the woman never has to give the man flowers at any point in the whole relationship to show that she also cares. But not saying as a man you can't get a woman to give you flowers. You can, there's a trick you can use. All you have to do to get a woman to give you flowers is, just fucking die. It's a good trick. Works every time, apparently. Your whole life, not a single flower, and then as soon as you're dead, she'll be rocking you up to the funeral with a big bunch of them to show how much she could have appreciated you. Then on your birthday, she might come by and drop a little bunch of flowers by the tombstone. Meanwhile, you'd be 6 feet under just rolling in your grave thinking, well, maybe if you'd shown this kind of appreciation while I was alive, I wouldn't have fucking killed myself. That's probably too much of something. But my wife, she's great. Has one little minor flaw. She has this irrational fear of kangaroos. And I know this because one time we were on a holiday and she had a kangaroo come right up to her and sit on her lap. It was the cutest thing you've ever seen. But she just flat out refused to pat it. She wouldn't even touch it. I guess in her defence it was covered in shattered glass from the windscreen, but still. It's a good one. I'll just do a couple more, and after I won't do any more. And get chats and stuff. Alright. So a few weekends ago, my wife had a few of her friends around at our house getting ready for a bit of a girls' night out, and one of her friends came up to me and said, is this your hairbrush? I was like, yeah, that's my one. Why? And she starts pointing at my head and laughing and says, you don't look like you need a hairbrush anymore. And then put my hairbrush into her handbag and starts giggling and right in front of me. And I said, do you think that's funny? That the joke's on you. I only use the handle. It's a good visual. So just before I go, you guys have been pretty understanding, to be honest. With comedy, people with getting, the political correctness and stuff, it's getting a little more dicey and shit. But, like a while back, I got up, first joke in, this guy at the front starts having a go at me, so I had to explain to him, that comedy is subjective, not everyone likes the same things. I said to him, telling a joke for the first time in front of an audience is sort of like giving birth in a way. It's not until you finish the delivery that you can tell if it's a keeper. You would have thought that would have been enough, right? But then the lady next to him starts going off at me as well, and I was like, I don't know what her problem was. Might have been pregnant, I don't know. Then he just looked at her and he just came running straight up to me and just grabbed me by the collar and said, look, I'm not going to tell you again. This is a private funeral, fuck off. That's it for me, guys. Cheers. So let's give it up for
ladies and gentlemen, give it up one more time for Taylor Tomley. That's fucking brilliant. That was absolutely brilliant. Alright, I'm a little bit sweaty for that, but that's all good. How are we, guys? Are we good? Fuck yeah. I've been so excited for today. This is my last show, like I said. This is my 20th solo show for this year. Thank you. See? Someone's fucking paying attention from before. No, I genuinely want to thank you guys. I've said it at every show that I've performed this year, but this year is my 8th year doing stand-up comedy, and I finally decided that it's time that, I really want to knuckle down. I want to turn this into my profession. So this year, I've decided I'm actually just going to become a full-time comedian. Cool. No. Pay attention to the fucking pauses. But like I said, I've been doing it for 8 years, and my first solo show was actually here in 2019. Just by show of hands, who's seen my comedy before? Alright, that's not bad. Who's never seen me do a joke in their life? It'd be super awkward if my family put their hand up. Alright, cool. So, and so for the people that have never seen me do comedy, put your hand back up if you bought the tickets online. Alright, cool. So my man, what made you buy tickets to the show? The title, not black, not white, just me. Right. Did anybody buy tickets to the show based off the reviews they saw on the website?
Yeah.
Me.
Cool. Cool. You did? Right. So did you read all of them, or did you just read a couple and you thought, yeah, I want to go and see what it's about?
Yeah, I read a couple. Yeah.
Read a couple. Anyone stick out in particular?
No, not really.
Not the one from my parents that said love mum and dad? Or the one from my brother that said, love you little bro? Like, it was awkward. I've asked that at so many shows, and so many people will be like, yeah, we read the reviews, we wanted to come see it. And it's cool, I love it. My family's in the second row, they always support me, and I could not be happier. So give them a massive round of applause because they deserve it. They've been putting up with my shit for 37 years, so it's about time they start to get something back. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but it's about time they get something back. But yeah, it was funny, so obviously I'm friends with a whole bunch of comedians, and everybody kind of looks at everyone else's reviews for the show because we want to see how each other's going. We want to make sure that it's going well, but I hadn't looked at the reviews for the first 2 weeks of the show because I'm enjoying it. I don't need to see what people think of my comedy. It's going pretty well so far. And then I get a message from some other comedians. They're like, bro, are you paying people to give you fucking reviews? I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, go online and have a look at your show. So my parents came to the first show, and then sure enough, the day after there was a view. So my name's Jason, my mum calls me Sunshine, Jason, Sunshine at the end. Aww, yeah, fucking adorable, right? But she left a review, and I love you for it, but she left a review saying, we're so proud of you, hilarious, the show was fantastic, we love you, Jay Sunshine. Now, if you see the reviews on there, you have to sign in and have an account, so it leaves the name anyway. So you know who's left the review. My mum also decided to sign off. Love TNG. Tracy and Gavin. My comedian friends know that that's my parents. And my brother came to the second show, and it's the first time he's ever seen me do comedy for more than 5 minutes. And he's like, it was hilarious, haven't laughed that hard in ages, so proud of you, baby brother. So, I'm killing it with comedy. But it is nice to get that kind of support. Like, I love the fact that you guys are here. This is our biggest sold show for all of Fringe, so you guys have absolutely fucking made a killing for me. I appreciate it. But going back to your point, like, you saw the name of the show and you're like, okay, that sounds interesting, I want to read it. So I did a show back here in 2019 called Not Black, Not White, Just Confused. That was the name of the show, and the meaning behind that show was twofold, right? So my parents grew up in South Africa, and they are what you considered coloured. In Australia, not many people recognise what coloured is, but it's basically, is somewhere down the line, you had a parent who was black and a parent who was white, and they went against the grain of segregation. You get this sexy caramel goodness you see standing in front of you today, right? You shouldn't laugh at that, you just fucking wolfers, but whatever, I'm cool with that. Don't fucking bring it back now. But then, yeah, so Not Black, Not White, Just Confused is a comment on the fact that my family's not black, we're not white, we're that little grey area in the middle. It's also a comment on how I view life. I think life isn't black and white. I think where we get confused is that shit in the middle. It makes me confused. I don't understand a lot of stuff in the world. That happened in 2019, COVID happened, I did my next solo show in 2022 called Not Black, Not White, Still Confused, because I think between 2019 and 2022 the world went to absolute fucking shit. I don't know what happened during COVID. There was the whole Black Lives Matter, the Me Too movement, the Blue Lives Matter, COVID, like people just started going at each other for no reason. But I'm a firm believer that the reason that happens is because of lack of communication. Right? I think people don't talk openly enough and they refuse to understand somebody else's point of view. That's why I feel like that confusing part is in the middle. And then we finally come to this year. I feel like I'm finally starting to get an understanding of who I am, what my comedy is about, and I'm trying to get my head around the world, so hence Not Black, Not White. This year it's just me. So I want to thank you guys for being on that journey, for getting to the point where it is just me. But I feel like I'm at that point because of so many things that have happened in my life. Right? Like I've had so many different random jobs that have led to this point of me deciding I wanted to be a professional comedian. Just by show of hands, is there anybody here who's got like a job that's not run-of-the-mill normal? Like if you tell somebody what you do, it's quite surprising, or they ask questions about it. One person. You all are a bunch of boring motherfuckers, huh? What do you do at the back there?
Underground truck driving.
Okay, that's FIFO. Everybody does that. That's not special. Unless you weren't in FIFO and you just fucking took your truck into deep holes somewhere, that'd be more interesting. What do you do? I dig holes for a living and then I just fucking go driving deep. And it says, did someone else stick their hand up over here? Oh, now you're all fucking scared now, are you? Oh, you're a pilot though, yeah?
UAV pilot.
Yeah. A what pilot?
UAV.
What's UAV? Oh, show off. Right, you're a fucking show off is what you are. It's like I'm too good to actually sit in a fucking plane and do it from a distance. So if it crashes, it's not my fucking fault. You're a pussy is what you are, because if you're going to crash the plane, you better fucking be in it, bro. But that, I mean, you know, that's not the normal type of job. Not many people will say they're a pilot or a drone pilot, whatever. But I feel like being a comedian is one of those jobs that if you tell somebody what you do, there's always a very generic response that you get. What do you guys think the first response is I get when I tell people I'm a comedian?
Tell me a joke.
Yeah, tell me a fucking joke. It's one of the only jobs where you have to prove what you do for somebody to believe that that's what you do for money. I feel like there's only 2 jobs in the world that hold that kind of pressure on them. Being a comedian, cool, tell me a joke. And I have this line that I took from the Batman movie with Heath Ledger in it, and he says, when you're good at something, you never do it for free. That's my line to people when they say, tell me a joke. Unfortunately, because I'm not a professional comedian yet, I tell a fuckload of jokes for free. So sometimes it doesn't quite land. I feel like there's only one other job that you can tell people you do and they're like, oh, fucking prove it to me. And I think that's a Catholic priest. Some of you might know where this is headed. It's like, oh, what do you do? I'm a Catholic priest. Well, show me your hit list on little boys. How many? What's your body count? But it's some people don't like it, and if you're Catholic, well then you're probably wrong anyway, so. Either that or you are on that hit list. That's not my fault. But you know, because of that sort of stuff, I feel like the experiences I've been through have given me thicker skin. You know, so way back when, I used to be a dancer for like 14, 15 years, and that's, you know, it's not exactly an easy job to get into and be super successful about it. It's one of those jobs that a lot of people do, but it's hard to really get a successful living out of. Being a dancer, that transitioned me into eventually I became a stripper. See, it's only ever get like 1 or 2. It's not, you know, it doesn't live. Who the fuck said prove it? Some of y'all need to pay a lot more than fucking $25 for it. I wouldn't mind kidding. I'll do something for like $5 fucking later. You know, like I ended up getting into stripping, and it was one of those jobs that, you know, it's kind of hit and miss. It led me into a lot of interesting situations in my life. Does anybody, or just show of hands, who knows where the Lord Forest Hotel is? Down south? Down in Bunbury. So, okay, so there's a lot of people who don't know. It's about 3 hours down there. It used to be an absolute shithole, right? So they've done renovations on it now. It's a really nice place now, but way back when it was just an absolute shithole. They had a nightclub there that it was about the size from there to that pillar to that wall. It's a tiny, tiny place. But I'm up in Perth, I get a call from my manager and it's like, Jace, I got a gig for you, it's $350 an hour. And I was like, God damn, man, $350 per hour, who am I sucking for that much money? He's like, nobody. I was like, cool, I'm there. He goes, I was like, what time is it? It's like 8:30. This is like 6 o'clock in the evening. He's like, it's at 8:30. Now, if you guys know anything about coloured people, we run a little thing called African time. So if we're 2 hours late, we're early. Yeah? I don't know if you've got coloured friends or black friends, but they're never on time for nothing. Like, I know that there's a couple of black people in this crowd. They were meant to be at yesterday's show. They're like, yeah, brother, we are here on time. Happy Friday! It's like, bitch, it's Saturday night. But he calls me up and he's like, Jace, you got this gig at 8:30, it's $350 for an hour. I was like, fuck it, man, I'll there. I like punch it. I'm going down Kwinana Freeway and I'm just legging it. Now, just by round of applause, who gets road rage here? Right, cool. You're my people. You're my people. I hate people who go in the right lane and go the speed limit. It's like, motherfucker, don't you know that lane is for breaking the law? I'm trying to be a criminal. Get out of my way! But I'm going down Kwinana Freeway and there's this lady in the car and she's going like 5Ks under the limit. And I'm trying to rush. I'm already late, but I'm trying to rush. She stays there for like 5Ks and I'm getting mad. And then there's a line that builds up behind me. I look to my left side, there's already a line that's just, there's an L plated, they're only going 100 Ks an hour. That's building up as well. Now, I do what any normal person does when they're in that lane and they're getting frustrated. There's cars beeping behind me and I just turn around and go, it's not my fucking fault. Because that's all you can do, right? You can only try and defend yourself, but they don't give a shit. They're like, get out of the fucking way. I'm beeping at this lady. She finally decides to speed up a little bit. The lady on the left of me thinks, fuck it. She goes into the emergency lane, flogs it at 140 Ks an hour and just legs it. And I'm like, fuck yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Now remember at the time I said I'm a dancer. So I shoved my foot onto my accelerator and my car slowed down. Because that's how much money I've got. That's how fast my car is. Slow down. So I was like, I'm just going to wait for her to move ahead. She finally moves ahead into the left lane. And you know how when you get past that asshole that's holding you up, you just do whatever. Who just stares? Who stares? You think that's going to intimidate them through windows in a car? Like that's going to teach him. You're just going to go, oh. But I was like, nah, that pissed me off. I'm late for a gig. I roll my window down on the passenger side and I catch up to her. And she rolls her window down and I'm like, oh, it's about to go down, bitch. I'm about to rip you a new one. Before I can say anything, she turns to me and I was about to go, do you know it's fucking going 110 Ks an hour? Do you know what you're fucking making me late? And before I can yell that out to her, she just goes, ugh! Now, I'm a comedian, right? I'm usually pretty quick-witted. I can throw it with the best of them. I had fuck all for that lady. I just looked at her, she's like, ugh! And I just rolled my window up and drove away. And only when I got to the gig did I realise that I had to come back for it. Which didn't matter because she's long gone. Hopefully she's rolled over in a ditch somewhere. It's not my fucking fault. But I got to the gig and I was like, oh man, I know exactly what I should have said. Like, I'm a comedian, I'm childish. But if I had remembered what I wanted to say at that time, I would have been like, I know you are, I said you are, but what am I? And then just fucking legged it, right? But I get to the gig, like I said, I'm in a rush. My manager's like, Jace, when you get to the green room, just put on the costume, get out onto the stage and just entertain them for an hour. So I get into the green room, there's no mirrors, But I'm rushing, I'm not really paying attention. I put on the costume, I'm like, oh, this is a bit uncomfortable. I don't really like how it feels, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's a cowboy hat, I put it on, I was like, alright, cool, the theme must just be cowboy. Now I come on from the back of the stage, there's smoke machines going off, I can't see the crowd, but as I'm making my way there, it's going off. I can hear this music through 3 walls. I'm like, alright, sick. This gig is going to be off the chain. Now I'm full of energy, right? I'm pumped up, I run out onto the stage, I'm like, who's ready to party? Smoke settles, there's 7 people in the room. I remember I'm there for a strip show. Out of those 7 people, 5 of them were dudes. They didn't know this was a strip show. Do you know how awkward it is to try and convince 5 straight dudes that they're about to be entertained by me? So I run out onto the stage, I'm like, who's ready to party? And all I hear is, not fucking us! From what I said, I put this costume on and it was awkward. It felt uncomfortable. The mirrors are behind me. I turn over, look over my shoulder. I've missed the first part of this costume. I've just put on chaps with no ass on them. Now I'm a little dude. I've only got tiny bumps. But I'm like, who's ready to get buck wild? And they're like, you're a straight back thigh. Shut up. Now, the whole point of a stripper, right, is to entertain people sexually. You're meant to do dance moves, you're meant to try and be sexy, and people are meant to get into it. Now remember I said 5 out of the 7 people were straight men. It's hard to convince straight men to be attracted to another straight man taking his shirt off with his little pale ass cheeks hanging out. But I'm dancing, I'm just trying to get him in. There's 2 girls in this crowd and they're all standing at the bar. Nobody has come onto the dance floor, nobody's on the stage, but I just kept going in my head, it's like $350, Jace. Remember what you said you would do for $350 and what you're doing now. You're kind of winning. But I get, it gets halfway, they're still not into the show. At some point, like Genuine Pony comes on, I'm like, cool, this is the theme song for my dancing. So I'm like, grab my cowboy hat and I throw it into the crowd and I'm just like, yeah, that'll get him into it, and it comes straight back at me and smacks me in the face. But I start to get demoralised, right? I start to get down on myself and I'm like, fuck, this isn't fun, man. I'm not enjoying it. But I gotta commit to it. I gotta stay in character. I gotta do this strip show. Have you ever seen a stripper cry? It's not fucking pretty. It looks something like this. You guys like that? You don't like that? Me neither. What about now? No? And my moves started getting less and less enthusiastic, right? Who here knows the move, the caterpillar? Most of the white people are like, yeah, I've tried it before. Now, if you've ever been to a nightclub, you know that those floors are pretty sticky, right? You walk in a nightclub and you're like, you know what the caterpillar turns to in a nightclub? A slug. That was one of the most awkward situations I've ever had in my entire life. I went down, tried to do the body roll, and I just got stuck. So I had to drag myself off stage. But while that's happening, the 2 girls actually came to the stage and they started making it rain. I see green notes coming down onto the stage. I'm like, fuck yes, thank you. Finally somebody appreciates a good dance move. I pick up the notes, I'm like, alright, this is going to be more than $350. I've just made bank. I get back to the green room, I put the money on the table and I'm like, yes, we just made some money. I look down and it's fucking Monopoly money. At some point, the bar staff felt so sorry for me, they went to their boardroom and they got Monopoly money. They're like, just gotta make him feel better. So I wiped my tears with the money, I drove home. But again, that's one of those situations that gave me thick enough skin to deal with being on stage. Like, being a comedian's not easy. Who here enjoys public speaking? Show of hands. Alright, cool, so only people over here. You guys are a bunch of pussies. So, somebody stuck their hand up here. You stuck your hand up? You stuck your hand up? Do you think you could do stand-up comedy? Alright, come here. I want you to tell these people one joke. Yeah. That's what I'm like, oh yeah, I could do stand-up comedy. What did you think I was going to get you to do? Just stand next to me for an hour.
How many months have you had to prepare?
So funnily enough, I wrote this show an hour before I did my first solo show this year. So fuck you. It is legit that, like, I don't write my comedy. I sit there before the show and I'm like, what do I think is going to be funny? And most of the time it's been successful. Sometimes it crashes and burns. You know, that's why I stopped being a stripper, because I wasn't fucking good at that. But there are other situations in my life that I think have shaped me with who I am today. And I love observational humour. I love seeing how human beings function and how we work. I think we're all messed up at the same level, and it's all different to us. Like, the way I grew up is going to be different to the way you grew up and different to the way you grew up. and we judge each other by the way we look. Most of the time you tend to judge a book by its cover, even though you don't want to. Like if you walk down North Bridge at 3 o'clock in the morning and you see a group of people that you don't think are going to be awfully friendly, you're going to cross the road and avoid them, right? But they might be the nicest people in the world. Nicest people in the world. But I think at the end of the day, that's where we can improve on ourselves, right? If you decide to judge a person by the internal rather than the external, I think that's what makes us better human beings. Now, the thing I love seeing is that I'm one of the most judgmental people in the fucking world. And I love it. I own it. I think it's hilarious because I think we're all messed up in the same way, but I think there's a massive double standard between a lot of different groups of people, namely men and women. I think there's some things that men will never be able to say to women and get away with it, and I feel like it's the same way vice versa. So just by show of hands, who's single here? It's always very depressing. Alright, so, and put your hand back up if you've been on dating apps or you're currently on dating apps. I'm not asking for me. Alright, so a couple of them. Alright, so mainly the girls here. So would you ladies say that you find that men's communication these days is severely lacking? Yeah, right? Who agrees that men's communication is lacking? Even people in relationships. Actually, maybe people in relationships might think more so that the men are severely lacking in communication. But, so if, for the ladies that are on dating apps, if a guy messages you on a dating app and says, "Hi, how are you?" is that a good enough opening line? No? Would you agree? It's not good enough? Not good enough? Now flip it. Real life situation. If you're at a bar, you see a dude who you think is so, like, super attractive, you're like, yeah, I could climb him. If he comes up to you and he goes, "Hi, how are you?" in real life, is that good enough? Okay, so why is it not good enough on an app? No fucking answer now, is it? Okay, but why do we not have to be creative in real life?
Because there's confidence.
That doesn't make any sense. If you can be confident in real life and confident on an app and ask the same question, it should be the same. But that's my point, right? A lot of women don't think "Hi, how are you?" is good enough. Just even the people in relationships, for the person that you're with, if the men had come up to you ladies and said, "Hi, how are you?" raise your hand if that would have been good enough. Oh shit, that was so enthusiastic that I'm willing to bet she wishes he had said, "Hi, how are you?" Fuck, I wish he had said more than 4 words to me. He just whipped his dick out in the middle of the dance floor. Here we are. But I find that, I agree. I think a lot of women these days think "Hi, how are you?" on a dating app isn't good enough, and it's because you have the protection of a phone and you've got time to think up some shit to say to a woman. I was talking to one of my girlfriends a little while ago, and she was like, "You know what? Men don't know how to talk to people these days. I need more. I need banter." I was like, "What's banter?" And she's like, "It's communication." I was like, "So a guy saying "Hi, how are you?" isn't good enough?" She's like, "Nah, he's got to come at me with his best pickup line." Now she's on an app called Bumble. Bumble is the app where if you match with somebody, the woman has to talk first. She has to initiate the conversation. Like a guy can't start the conversation with like sending a picture of his favourite fish that he caught. Or sending a picture of the fish that he wished he would catch. But I was talking to her, she's like, "You know what, guys always ask me, 'Hi, how are you? Hi, how are you?' It's fucking boring. I don't even bother talking back." I was like, "Show me your app. Show me the conversations you have on Bumble." Every single dude she's ever spoken to, she said, "Hi, how are you?" But that apparently is good enough for men. Because we're pathetic. I think the average man is so starved for genuine attention that all a woman has to do is look in his direction. He's like, "Do you want to fuck? Because we can fuck." "I don't mind fucking. I don't care for the last 2 minutes. We can fuck." But a while back, I was on dating apps. You guys remember back in 2020 when we had that month of lockdown and we couldn't go anywhere? At the time I was single, I decided I was going to download Tinder. And for those of you who don't know what Tinder is, it's basically an app where you put up a bio, and if you match with somebody, you try and initiate a conversation, hopefully you get a date or a relationship out of it. So, I downloaded Tinder, put the bio up, nice little couple of photos that I thought would catch the attention of somebody else. And like any red-blooded male at 3:30 in the morning on a Wednesday, I'm just swiping on everybody, right? I've been single enough that I have no standards. Everybody gets a yes. I'm really pathetic, aren't I, now that I say it out loud. But if you get a match on Tinder, you get a ding on your phone, you get a notification, right? I'm just swiping, it's just background noise, but I get this ding on my phone. I don't even look down at the profile. I just called my mum. I was like, "Mum, in 9 months, grandbabies are coming, you better be ready." But I looked down at the profile. I swear to God, no word of a lie, this actually happened. There was no bio written. There was one picture, and it was a plate of sliced pepperoni. And my first thought was, on the plus side, it's not a vegan. And if there's any vegans in the crowd and you want to fight me for that joke, save your energy, because I know you don't have that much of it anyway. But I thought maybe there's this real beautiful person on the other side of this fake profile asking for my credit card details for a live sex show, right? So I thought, I'm just going to throw out a cheesy line. I'm not going to use my best work, but I was like, hey, I see you like sliced meat. I got a sausage you can handle. Put my phone down. I was like, I'll let that marinate for a couple of minutes. A couple of minutes go by, I get another ding on my phone. I was like, holy shit, they actually wrote back. I look at my phone, the notification said, you've been unmatched. I'm fucking killing it. I'm killing it. You know, I was like, I'm not a quitter. I've got thick skin, I can handle it. So I keep swiping. I get another match. I don't call anybody about grandbabies. I look down, I look at the profile. Decently attractive woman. And I just thought, you know, I'm going to throw out the basic conversation starter. I said, hi, how are you? Now, what do you think the first thing she said back to me was?
Hi.
See, hi would be nice. Hi would be acceptable. Any other guesses?
Boring.
How much money do you have? You shallow motherfucker. I'm a comedian. Fuck all is the answer. $350 for my stripper days. But her response, I said, hi, how are you? And she said, how tall are you? So I told her, I said, I'm 6'4". They can't escape me anymore. So I take that information and I go to the QT rooftop bar in the city. Beautiful rooftop bar there, right? So we get to the club and I see this group of girls, absolute stunners, and they go up, there's an elevator that takes you to the rooftop bar. We get up to the security and I was like, hey, you go, man, we just want to get upstairs. And he goes, oh, what do you want to go up there for, bro? You guys know who does security in Perth, don't? Give me that. Yeah, now, you fucking know. But I was like, yeah, man, look, we just want to get up there. I saw those girls go up to the rooftop bar. I just want to go up to the rooftop and see if I can have a conversation with him. And he just goes to me, oh, would you want to go up to the rooftop bar, bro, to jump off? I was like, God damn. Fucking maybe now. But I'm talking, I never ended up going up there. We didn't get up there. I was just like, fuck, I'm not going to worry about it. But, you know, those interactions between people is just like where he said, in his mind, he looked at me and he's like, you're not good looking enough to go and talk to those women. Now, I consider myself not the ugliest guy in the room, but I'm also not the best looking dude when I walk into a room. Like, I don't walk into a room and people break their neck to look at me and go, fuck, I love Chico babies. I would love to taste them. Like, I don't... Like, when I got up on stage here, I know none of you were like, oh, he looks like a tasty Allen's Lolly. And if you did, let me know later. But, you know, like, I often think about those double standards. Like, I'll look at a girl and find her attractive, and she'll look at me and she's like, oh, he's cute, but he's not good enough to talk to me. And I feel like women have higher standards for men. Men will literally fuck a hole in a table, so... Yeah, women are like, what? Dudes are like, well, yeah, you know. If there's no splinters. He's just like, well. So I carry around this sandpaper in my pocket. But I often think about how people like judge each other based on appearance. Like, I was down at the Lucky Shag with my friend and her fiance a couple of weeks ago, and there was this like real interesting interaction. I think double standards between men and women are so different that there's some things that we just, as men, we never think about, we never have to worry about. Like, just for the ladies in the crowd, whether you're in a relationship or whether you're single, if a random dude you've never met in your life comes up to you and puts a drink on the table in front of you, show of hands, who's taking that drink?
Winner!
Oh, y'all some cheap motherfuckers, goddamn. Y'all don't give a shit about your safety. Ladies, show of hands who wouldn't take that drink. See, y'all the ones who are going to stay alive. I'm so glad my mum raised her hand and said no. We can stop roofing her, Dad. Oh, it's a joke, for fuck's sake. Come on. I hope it's a joke. But we were at the Lucky Shag. I'm sitting there. It's me on one side. It's my friend and her fiance on the other side. And he's like this 6'8" African American dude. Like just is intimidating to look at. They're sitting at the table and I hear this group of dudes in the background just causing a massive ruckus, right? There's one group of people that you will always hear before you see. I'm gonna make the noise and you'll probably know who I'm talking about. So this is the noise I hear before I turn around and see who it is. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? I'm talking about that fucking security guard and his friends. Like Māori dudes are the biggest people in the world and they sound like a fucking rooster has swallowed a helium balloon. They all have that generic laugh like It's weird but I love it. I turned around and I was like, fuck, these guys are causing a mad ruckus. But one of these dudes, he's double fisting these drinks. He turns to us and he just makes a beeline straight for us. He puts the drink down in front of me, slides it over to my African American mate, big dude, serious, didn't crack a smile, goes, oh, chill, bro, you want a fucking drink? Looks at him, dead ass, just goes, nah, bro, slides it back. He's like, oh, good, chill, takes a drink, walks away. I'm sitting there going, bitch, am I invisible? I'm cheap. Give me that drink, bitch. I was like, as he walks away, I was like, what, am I not pretty enough for your alcohol, brother? He turns around and goes, oh, sorry, bro, I thought you were his son. I was like, well, fucking fair enough. But he comes back, he puts the drink in front of me, and he goes, cheers, bro. We drink it, I smash it back. Now, I didn't even think about the fact that that drink could have had something in it. He could have laced it with anything, he could have roofied it, whatever. But as he walks away, being the comedian, as he walks away, I go, oh, you didn't roofie it, did ya? And he was laughing as he walked away, turns around, dead straight face, he goes, what if I did? I just thought, fuck, what if he did? Dude's been like a brick shithouse. I can't do anything if he wants to take me home. Now from the Lucky Shag to my apartment is about a 10-minute walk away. I live on Adelaide Terrace, so I got to cross the park, Langley Park, right? I just started thinking after that altercation, because my friend sat across the road, she's like, across the table from me, she's like, I can't believe you took that drink. You don't know what he put in it. I was like, I don't give a fuck what he put in it. It's got alcohol in it. And I just saved $7. So a win's a win. But I just picture if he did roofie that, I don't know how long it takes a roofie to kick in, but if I'm walking across the park and I start to feel jelly legs and my mind starts to falter, the last thing I'm gonna hear is, oh. It's a scary fucking thing to hear. Then my mind takes it one step further. I wake up and he's just standing over me, right? I try and fight him off, he's like, shh. Don't worry, bro. I'm gonna be gentle. But if you're fixing to pass out, maybe you should try and count some sheep. Oh. Maybe don't, because you know what we do to sheep back home? You know what? You could be my little Baba black sheep. I was thinking, like, you know, he had a fade like mine. Like, who pulls whose hair? Pull my chain. He's like, oh, that's a pretty necklace, bro. First of all, bitch, I'm a grown man. Don't call it a necklace. Yeah, but I'll give you one full of pearls. Shut up. He didn't. Well, I mean, I fucking made it up. Of course he didn't. I'm going to give myself trauma from my own stories. There's that disconnect, right? Like double standards. Like most of the females here wouldn't have touched that drink. I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, it's free alcohol, I'll smash it back. And that could have been the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, it actually didn't happen. I went home, but that's the sort of stuff that I think about, right? I always think about the interaction between people, and it's just like, especially like different cultures. I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding between different cultures, especially like, you come from a different culture, and if you don't understand how they work or how they function, the way that they raise their children can always seem real different to everybody. Like just by show of hands, who got beaten as a child? I mean, not for shits and giggles, like if you did something wrong. A lot of trauma just went up in the room. So yeah, raise your hand if you got hit as a child if you fucked up. Alright, so majority of people, put your hand up if you didn't. It's always the white people. So you never got smacked as a kid growing up?
No.
What happened if you messed up? How did you get disciplined as a child?
We discussed the matter.
Of course you did. White people use words. White people use words, right? Yeah, like I grew up with this Indian friend, right? For the sake of the joke, his name's Rajesh. But we're mucking around, and I feel like Indian people raise their kids real different. Right? Like we were mucking around, something breaks, we hear this from the kitchen. Rajesh, what the bloody hell did you do this time? Come to the kitchen now. I was like, man, your mum's got a real deep fucking voice. We get to the kitchen, you know how like when older men are like real sure about what they're going to do, they have their hands behind their back and they just do that little rock back and forth. Like I know that when we used to mess up, we used to get hit. Like we used to get physically beaten. You can judge my parents, they're right there. Try it, bro. Hey, see? You don't have to glass it. Fuck! I've recovered. You know, we get into the kitchen and his dad's standing there and he's like, Rajesh, what the bloody hell did you do this time? Now he goes to defend himself, right? We're 7, 8 years old at the time and my friend wants to defend himself. He goes to tell his dad he wants to defend himself and before any words can leave his mouth, his dad goes, you shut your mouth when you talk to me. At 7 years old, try and get your fucking head around that. You shut your mouth when you talk to me. He looks over at me for direction, and I just piss my pants. And nothing. You know, I'm growing up with other friends, like I grew up with a lot of white friends as well, and I noticed that white people use words. Again, same situation, we're mucking around, something breaks. You hear, boys, can we come to the kitchen, please? And I'm like, fuck, this sounds pleasant. But at the same time, your dad sounds like a bitch. We get to the kitchen, and his dad's on his hands and knees like this. Because this is the level you're going to get to when you're dealing with animals, right? He's like, boys, why are we being so destructive? Why are we being so destructive? Can we step into the circle of trust, please? He's like, what the fuck is a circle of trust? Circle of trust to me sounds like I'm going to get into an imaginary octagon and you're going to fuck me up. I'm standing there with my friend Kyle and I don't know where this circle is. He's like, boys, can we step into the circle of trust, please? So I look over at Kyle and I'm like, because I'm nervous, right? I was like, am I in it? Kyle looks back at me, he's like, take a step forward, stop being a bitch. I was like, what about now? He's like, take a fucking step forward. I take a step forward, I've locked eyes with Kyle because I'm scared right now. I turn around, his dad's right there, he's like, welcome! He's like, boys, why are we being so destructive? It's time out. And I flinched, right? Because time out for me was an elbow to the temple. I wake up 3 days later ready for breakfast. My parents will disagree, but it's my social, stop it. But he's like, boys, why are we being so destructive? Time out. Going to the room now, I'm going to take out the Nintendo, PlayStation, Sega. You're just going to have 3 computers, okay? You're not going to sleep in the king-size bed, you're going to have the 3 bunk beds. We're only going to bring you 4 meals today, you're not going to get 6. I was like, bro, your time out sounds like a fucking vacation. Adopt me. Adopt me. But you know, I grow up and I think like because of that, my life is so focused on how I was growing up that sometimes it's hard to understand that life can be so different for other people. Like I think people who come from other countries and have to assimilate into our way of life, I got nothing but respect for them. Just by round of applause, is there anybody here who spoke English as a second language?
Stepdad is a cop.
That. Hold on. Y'all heard me ask that question, right? I'll ask it one more time. By round of applause, is there anybody here who spoke English as a second language? See, now I love asking that question because I asked it twice. I said by a round of applause and a couple of people just went. And then Genius over there said, somebody's dad's a cop. Cool. I'm so lost with that answer. I don't know where that came from. But somebody's hand went up over here. So what language did you speak before you spoke English? Spanish, right. And was it difficult transitioning from Spanish to English? No, it wasn't. You couldn't understand round of applause, but it was easy. Yeah, I know. She fucked it for everybody. It's fine. But you know, like I only speak English. I learn English as a first language. By show of hands, who learn English as a first language? Keep your hand in the air if you still struggle with English as a first language. Yeah. Nobody's hand went down there. I think English is one of the most stupid languages in the world to learn and try and get your head around. And I think as Australians we butcher it even more. Like I think like coming over and having to learn English as a second language, you're an absolute superhero, because I imagine like other nationalities coming into our country, not fully understanding the English language, and then having to talk to an Australian who speaks the English language, right? Like I've got a mate, Tony. I grew up with his family's from Asia, and he still sometimes struggles with the English language. But I often imagine like when his parents came over, I know his dad wasn't that good with the English language, but he's a very polite man, right? So I imagine him accustomed. He's like, "Hello, welcome, thank you. I come to your country. I want to live here. How are you?" Now, if I say, "How are you?" what would your response be? Good, mate. Yeah, right. Simple, easy to understand. I think, imagine at customs, he was like, "Hello, welcome, I'm come to your country, I want to live here." And then instead of hearing that, he goes, "Yeah, g'day mate, how you going? You fucking alright? Yeah, not too bad." He would be like, "Oh, you speak a Chinese too?" Like, we butcher it, we fuck it up, man. Like, how many times have you seen people mess it up, like, things like there, and there? Same word, 3 times, means 3 completely different things. But if you don't understand the English language, you think I'm fucking with you. I'm always fucking with Tony. I saw a sentence the other day on paper, it looked so stupid. And it read, before was, is. That sentence makes actual sense. Before was, is. But that's 5 of the same word in one sentence. Back to back to back to back to back. So I said to Tony one day, I was like, "Hey Tony, did you know that before was, is? And Tony looked back at me, he goes, "Hey Jason, did you know that before was, fuck your mother?" I was like, "Touche, Tony." You know, I often think like coming over here, having to understand the English language. Like, can you imagine being in an English as a second language course, an ESL course, and having to look at the word yacht? And just think, I'm gonna keep fucking going with this. Like, I was at Fremantle Harbour a couple months ago and I saw this beautiful Asian family on the jetty. They were having a conversation in their own language. I didn't understand a word of it, but I think it's beautiful. They brought their culture over here. They haven't lost that part of them or their identity. The dad separates from the group and he has this little moment of gratitude at the end of the jetty, and he wants to include his family, and he's like, "Oh my God, my family, come here. We're such a beautiful country. Look at this amazing view. So beautiful. Oh my God, would you look at that lovely yachet?" And I just thought, that's beautiful, man. He did exactly what we were taught to do in school. He sounded that word out. It's exactly how that word is spelled. Yachet. And there was another gentleman on the jetty and he wanted to correct him with his pronunciation. It was an Indian gentleman. This might have been a jetty for minorities, I'm not sure. But if you know anybody from India, if you know Indian gentlemen, you know whatever comes out of their mouth is 100% correct. Even when they're wrong, 100% correct. And you know it's correct because before they do anything, they just do this. And what that's doing is it's rattling the information around in their brain, so it's perfect on delivery. He walks up to him, very confident, chest up, he goes, "Oh, no. My friend, I think you are mistaken. That is not how you say that word." I heard that, I was like, "Bitch, you're about to correct him, you just said word? This is going to be fun." He's like, no, my friend, that is not how you say that word. I think you will find it is pronounced boat. And I saw that, I was like, bless your socks and sandals, my immigrant friend, bless your socks and sandals. You know, little interactions like that make me realise that there's so much stuff in this world I don't understand, so you always got to ask questions. You can only always find out more if you ask questions, right? Like, my parents grew up during the apartheid in South Africa, which was a very difficult time in South Africa's history, a lot of segregation, and I've studied that background, and a lot of stuff never made sense to me. Like, I couldn't understand why people looked at each other and thought, we're better than you, so we're going to keep ourselves separate. You know, I've grown up in Australia, and I'm so grateful to grow up in this country, but even I've experienced things in my life that have made me question, like, I don't understand why that happened. So, like, you know, and through school, there was a lot of things that I questioned as well, like, just by show of hands, who questions shit in school? Like, I don't understand why you're teaching me this. I'm probably not going to use it for the rest of my life. You guys question shit? Yeah. Who here had to play the recorder? Yeah, the majority of us. Can anybody tell me why? And on top of that, can anybody give me the name of a professional recorder player? No, because nobody decided to do that as a profession. Right, we had to learn that dumb instrument in school. I was that kid who always had questions like, Miss, I don't understand why you're teaching me this. Can't you just teach me to be good with women? I know I'm going to have to use that at some point in my life. And she looks me dead in my eye and she goes, Jason, that's a very good question. Here's a recorder. I was like, fair enough, if you're not going to teach me to be good with women, can't you teach me to be good with money? Because I know if I'm terrible with women, money is pretty damn good with women. She goes, all right, class, we're going to put it to our lips. Now just yell out a song you had to learn on the recorder. Hot Cross Buns. Fuck yeah, public school. Hot Cross Buns. Easiest song in the world, right? 3 notes. In case you're wondering, that's perfect pitch. Because I nailed Hot Cross Buns going into the Easter holidays. Not a brag, but I nailed it. 2 weeks go by, teacher welcomes us back to the class. She's like, all right, class, welcome back. This term we're going to remix 3 Blind Mice. Same fucking song. Same fucking song. You know, I thought like when school's out, I'm going to try and apply these life lessons into my dating life, right? There's got to be a way that somehow I can apply my school life into adult life. Like I said, I'm trying to get into dating, and I'm not the most successful person in the world. I'm still single, obviously. But I go out and I'm very competitive, right? Very competitive. I used to love tall chicks. Still love tall chicks to this day, but people are always like, Jace, why do you love tall women so much? I'm like, well, I used to love swinging on jungle gyms as a kid. So I met this girl at a bar one day, heads and shoulders above everybody. I looked at my boys before I even walked over to her. I looked at my mates and I was like, guys, check it out. That's my future ex-wife right there. Just watch. I walk over to her and before I can even say anything, she looks at me and she goes, ew. You're too short. Like she had the fucking nerve to like crash down. Like I'd see what I'm working with in the mirror. And I thought like on the spot, I was like, man, I gotta think, I gotta be quick, I gotta think of something. Not like that dumbass in the car, think about it 3 hours later, I gotta have a rebuttal right away. She goes, ew, you're too short. And I said, yeah, well, people say life is too short and they enjoy the fuck out of that, so why don't you take a ride? And I thought on the spot that was pretty damn impressive. I thought, you know what, that's gonna get me somewhere. She didn't like that at all. And she took 1 step away. She took 1 step away to get away from me. So naturally I had to chase her. Mum, I don't know why you're laughing at that. You made this. But after I made my 10,000 steps for the day, caught up to her, I spun her around, I looked her dead in her belly button. And the thing that pissed me off, right, the thing that annoyed me is that she acted like I chose to be this height. Like she acted like I used to be taller. And one day I was just walking around and I thought, oh shit, this is a bit too high for me. Luckily one day I was walking across the road, I got hit by this flying turtle shell and I was like, I'm glad some of you know Mario. Well, I looked at her, I looked at her dead in her belly button, I said, why do I have to be that for you? Right, like why do I have to be taller? And she looks down at me and she goes, because when I'm with somebody, when I'm with a man, I need to feel looked after. I need to feel protected. And I looked up at her and I said, bitch, you're huge. If anybody needs protection, it's this little guy. You know, if we get into a fight, let me hold your purse, babe. I got 20/20 vision when I'm wearing my contact lenses. You know, if we go to a music festival, put me on your shoulders. I like setting the stage too, you know? Anyway, the conversation goes on for a little bit longer and she's starting to have a bit of a laugh and I'm like, why don't we get out of here? We'll get to know each other a little bit better. She looks at me and she goes, buddy, sex is not on the table for you. I was like, good, I can't reach the table. I own a futon. I was like, we don't even have to have sex. We just cuddle. I'm good like that. I'm like a tiny teddy. I said, look, we can even spoon. I love being the big spoon. I love being the big spoon. And she goes, oh, big spoon, bitch, you'd be more like a backpack. So anyway, I end up back at my apartment. And you know, like when you get into when you're watching those real passionate scenes in movies and the dude picks the chick up, she puts her legs around his waist and they basically do everything in every room, they finally get to the bedroom. I turn around, I lock my door and before I can even do it, she grabs me by the neck and just pulls me up onto her. Like, I'm not proud of the noise that came out of my mouth. It was kind of like, whee! My parents are so disappointed. They're like, no wonder he's fucking single. We're never going to get grandkids out of this man. You know, she puts my legs around her body. She carries me to the room. I pick up my stripper cowboy hat in the way and I'm like, whoosh! She gets to the room, she throws me on the bed. I fly like a little flying squirrel softly onto my mattress. I turn around, she's like kamikaze, like spread eagle, just dove on me. I fear for my life. So I roll out of the way, she lands on the mattress, I roll back on top of her. I was like, who's got the upper hand now? And she's like, not you. I was like, fair enough. You know, we start making out, things get a little bit heated, one thing leads to another, I'm trying to get the mood sorted, but she grabs her hand, she puts it on the top of my skull and shoves me down. She's like, give me your best. I was like, whoa, calm your fucking farm. I know what I'm doing, I've done this at least twice before. Grabs me, pushes me down again, I'm like, whoa, just ease up, Turbo. I'm trying to set the mood here. She wraps her legs around my waist, shoves me down again, she goes, give me your best. And I was just like, fuck. Just like in recorder class, I was really excited when I found out you put your thumb in the hole at the bottom. You know, it's weird things like that. I love interactions between humans. There's one group of people, I'll leave you guys on this, there's one group of people that I absolutely adore. I think they're the most incredible group of people in the world, and that's gay men. That's women, I don't know what you're cheering for. But I think gay men are some of the most resilient men in the world. And like I said, I was a dancer for 15 years, so I was around them for a large part of my life. But they have these ways of looking at life that is just, it's on a different level. They have a way of communicating with people, especially women, that straight men would never be allowed to, would never be allowed to use that form of communication. Now I'm talking about some of the gay friends that I had are absolutely queens. They wake up and they fart glitter. That level. I remember one of my friends told me that he was on the unicorn spectrum. I was like, bro, that's not a spectrum. He's like, that's just because you're not fucking on it. I was like, fair enough, I can't judge. But I always remember, back when I was a dancer, you know, we'd finish gigs late at night, it was 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I would often be walking by myself, and I'm not the biggest dude, I don't walk past anybody and they get intimidated. You know, if anything, people think they can beat me up. But I've never had any formal training on how to defend myself. So back when we were dancing, a lot of my gay friends used to get bullied, they used to get beat up, they used to get picked on, but just because of the way they were. You know, people who didn't understand that or they were insecure about it would often pick on them. And I always used to wonder, how did you guys defend yourself? I always used to ask them, I was like, how do you guys protect yourself at night? And they're like, Jace, the best way, because that's how they talk to me. They're like, Jace, the best way to defend yourself, especially from a straight man, is to hit on him. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, if you're a straight man and you're insecure about your own sexuality and a gay guy hits on you, that's going to make you feel uncomfortable as fuck. Most of the time it nullifies the situation. But that's what they told me. I was like, man, that's incredible. They're like, Jace, if you're going to do it, you've got to go full queen. I was like, I don't know what that means. Okay, but I'll go with it. But they're like, you just got to make sure that you stay in character. Because if you break it halfway, they'll break you in half. I was like, fair enough. Now I remember this it happened yesterday. Way back when I was a dancer, I'd finished a gig, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm walking through Northbridge, I'm on my phone, so I've got my head in my phone, I'm not paying attention, and I walk with him. And I turned around and I was just going to apologise. Before I could say anything, I went to say, sorry man, this dude is 6'5", massive dude, and he did you know that move when you want to make somebody flinch, you kind of flinch at him, he's like, what the fuck is your problem? And I just pissed my pants, right? Because I'm a real man. But you ever in those situations where things happen in slow motion in the moment? So I had a 10-minute conversation in my head that's happening in a second. And I was like, Jace, you remember what they told you. You have to go full fucking queen. You're going to get rid of this man, you have to go full fucking queen. Because no guy is going to go to his friends and say, man, I just bashed up a queen. No one's going to be like, yeah, fucking good job, bro. And also no one's going to be like, yeah, I beat up this small child in Northbridge at 3 a.m. But I remember when they said, they're like, dude, you gotta go full queen. So I tapped into my inner queen, and he was like, what the fuck is your problem? And I was just like, stop. Now you gotta sit in it, right? It can't just be stop, it's like, stop. And you gotta do that. You know that how like when they get that real smoky eye, they don't actually fully blink, it's like that? They're like, ooh, sexy. I was like, stop. But I remember they told me it was a 3-step process. You gotta go stop, but not only do you have to go stop, you have to put your finger on their lips. Like think about it, if you and I walk past each other in Northbridge, you're bigger than me. If you wanted to start a fight with me and I was like, stop, and I finger pressed your lips, what are you gonna do? Fuck me, exactly. You're gonna stop, right? This dude froze in his tracks. In my mind, I'm like, holy fuck, it worked! I was like, and in my mind, I was like, you gotta stay in character, you gotta stay in character. I was like, stop. And then I remembered the third process. He was like, you gotta go full queen. You guys wanna know what the third step is? Yeah. You gotta go stop, you gotta push it against their lips, and then you gotta drag it. There's not a man in this room that'll punch somebody after being lip flicked by another man, right? He's like, stop, drag, flick. So I was like, stop, flicked it, and as I flicked it, he was like, whoop. I was like, dude, did you just out-gay my game? Did you just out-queen my queen? I had nothing. I was like, stop, and he was like, whoa. I was like, fuck, I don't even know where my finger's been at that point. So I ran. I was like, there's no way I'm getting out of that situation. He called my bluff, he checkmated me. So I ran, but in my mind I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna stay in character. So I didn't run, I was like, oh my God. I like ran away, I was like, no. I didn't even have any hair, but I was like, no. Run around the corner, I poke my head around the corner, this dude's coming for me, right? He's like following me, but he's doing the same fucking run. Fuck, he's beating me. I jump into this taxi, I was like, dude, just drive. And I'm like in the car, so I'm like protected, right? I get this ego, I get like hell aggressive about it. I roll down the window as we're driving past. I'm like, you wish, bitch! And he was like, yeah, fuck off, man, I don't even like that, whatever floats your boat. And then the taxi dude turns around and he's like, I think you'll find it is pronounced boat. Guys, we've come to the end of the show.
Yeah, Jason!
Thank you very much. Have we enjoyed ourselves? That's what I like to hear. I just want to finish on a little bit of a serious note as well. So obviously this is my last show for Perth Fringe 2023. Okay, you should be excited. It's done. Fuck. Thank fuck, he's done. But yeah, like I said, like this year, I told you guys I wanted to turn this into my profession full time. But there's a little bit of a serious note. There's a reason why I'm so passionate about this and making people laugh. So I'm a massive fan of like people just being happy, right? Like I love making people laugh. I love being in this room and creating happiness. I used to work FIFO, like my underground truck driver who thought she was special. Who apparently she knows somebody's dad's a fucking cop. I'm still so confused about that. She's gonna be driving home, she'll be like, yeah, I fucking told him. Yeah, like I did FIFO a few years back, and it started out fine, like I really enjoyed it, and then the longer I was there, I got into a position of quite high up, and my days went from 12-hour days to 14 to 16 to 18-hour days, and I basically started burning the candle at both ends, right? Like I was so mentally drained, I had nothing left in the tank, I started becoming like real miserable. And if you guys know anything about FIFO or people who work in FIFO, you know like mental health on FIFO sites is a big thing, right? It's a big issue. It got to the point for me one day where I actually woke up and I actually felt like I wanted to kill myself. I woke up one morning and I had that genuine thought. I walked into my boss's office and I said, I was like, I need to go home, I need to talk to somebody. I had this thought, I wanted to kill myself. And she looked up at me, and this is a true story, she looked up at me and she goes, why don't you just go back to your room and sleep it off? And I was, in my head, I was like, are you serious? Somebody just came to you and told you that that's what they want to do, and your response is to send them back to the room that they wanted to end their life in. So I went back to my room, I wrote my letter of resignation, I walked back into her office and I said, I'm done. I'm going to go home and I book myself home and I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. I need to find my happy again. So I got home, and it was after I did FIFA that I decided it doesn't matter what I do with my life, I'm going to be happy. I need to be happy. So that's why I do comedy. Because I think laughter is the best medicine, right? Like if you guys had a bad day today, or if you had a bad week, I guarantee for the last hour you were not thinking about it. And that's why I do what I do. I want to be able to do this the world over. Like my favourite saying to myself is, just want to make the next person smile. Because if you smile, then the next person smiles next to you. I think that's contagious. So you guys being here tonight means the absolute world to me. The fact that you guys have smiled and laughed with me tonight, I want to thank you from the absolute bottom of my heart. So you guys should be giving yourselves a massive fucking round of applause for being at the show with me tonight. And I also want to make a point, obviously like I mentioned that my family's here. I want to thank you guys so much. My parents have been to every single solo show that I've done, every Fringe. This is what, your third time for this Fringe? Same dad, I think second time, my brother's second time. And like I said, they've been dealing with me for 37 years and they still, whether or not they find me funny, at this point I don't care. But the support that I get from them is second to none. And you guys tonight are at the same level. So if I can get my brother, my mum, my dad to come on stage.
We love you too.
So this is my beautiful family. My sister couldn't be here tonight because she's looking after her daughter, but this is why I do what I do. So, from myself and the Wood family, thank you very much. I've been Jason Wood. Enjoy yourselves. Good night. Social media than I am. What I'm going to do is I'm going to have the phone on myself. I'm going to introduce the show and talk about that this is the last night. And I'm going to turn around and put you guys in it. And when I do that, I want you guys to lose your collective shit. We good with that? I want you to go fucking ballistic. Because I'm going to send this to Kevin Hart and be like, bitch, I'm coming for you. I have been referred to as the Kevin Hart from Wish.com, so... It's a little fucking embarrassing. I'm also 2 inches taller than Kevin Hart, so fuck him. Still not that tall, so I don't know why I got a cheer. Alright, so I'll start it off. Alright guys, it's Jason Wood here. This is the last night for Perth Fringe 2023. Not black, not white, just me. This is the last...